The HiPipo Chronicles. This is a podcast where we get to delve into the journey of HiPipo from 2005 to currently. We are recording this in 2023. So the next, if you listen to an episode from 2024, don't be surprised. So we are going as far as in real time, as far as we are recording. So we are recording this in 2023, but we are looking at the journey all the way back, and we are in 2010, and this is episode 14. So if you're getting to hear us for the first time, I don't know where the hell you've been at, but you need to go back and listen to the journey from where everything started. But nonetheless, welcome. Thank you for joining us on board at HiPipo across all social media platforms. Give us your feedback. Listen to us on different streaming platforms of your choice as far as podcasts go. Rate us, share, give us a review on Apple Podcasts. That goes a long way. So do that. But as usual, my name is Mark Xtreme, and I'm with the CEO of HiPipo, Innocent Kawooya. Episode 14, and we are still in 2010.
Yes.
This is before TikTok.
Yeah, before all the, you call them newcomers.
Yeah, before
Yeah.
the newcomers. 2010. Remember the people who started in 2010 and 2011 and couldn't last until 2013. And then there are those that started in 2019. Then they think that they invented something that has never happened before.
I know.
So all that, we have to deal with all that.
Sometimes it's a lack of information, really.
That part.
Yeah, I remember my late friend Sarah.
Yeah.
Around 2012, one time in Wandinga, when I think just a few years before, what's her name? Katsy's ex-girlfriend, Fear, my OG, Doreen's OG as well. Sam, where have you been at?
Yeah.
A song that I would want to dedicate to someone who has just joined us on episode 14. Where have you been at? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, as we reflect on the dots back, 13 episodes down, 14 going down today.
Yes.
As we go live on this week, I want us to look at those stories that we had as ideas and we thought were innovations, yet people had created them some years back. And then the many things that our children, our young ones, the X generation is looking at today, and they want to call them inventions, and it's scary. Inventing or reinventing wheels takes a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot has nothing to do with that technology, with that invention. But it has to do with adoption and adoption. It has to do a lot with sensitization, getting people to appreciate that you brought. Well, some trends really catch up very easily.
Yeah.
But up to today, even when we believe and see a smartphone as a very important innovation in this age and time, for me that was teaching computer science and the other bits in my career and IT, that saw it being called a personal digital assistant at some point, calling it ourselves a PDA. And now seeing it as the real computer is fascinating in so many ways. But it is an invention. It's an innovation on top of that GSM phone, that feature phone that we had. So much has been created, but it is leveraging everything that was done before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So as far as the HiPipo Chronicles goes, 2010, this is another episode of 2010. We talked about partnering with the Diva Awards that year. And that was 2009.
Yeah.
So 2010, you decided to embark on a journey to partner with PAM Awards.
Yeah. You remember that song, Pearl of Africa Music Awards?
Yes.
Well, we live probably about 3 decades away from the founders and proprietors of the PAM Awards. People we respect a lot that played a very important role. They were in very different roles in the industry, in events, in the portfolio of awarding, in creating some bit of credibility in terms of creating endorsements. And I have a conversation with our partners and our stakeholders and tell them that now that we've been able to support Diva Awards and gotten into some bit of agreement to support them, can we get into supporting the others? Well, there are industry reasons which constitute more than 90%, and there are also selfish reasons that constitute the 10%. And those ones we can say here. I mean, they are having a good platform. They are known. So you want to provide a service pro bono to someone who is known so that you get some mileage. You don't want any money from them. But you're saying we have got a technology that you can use for voting. We have got a technology that you can use for curating and documenting. I mean, up to today, you'll check that after the exit of the portfolio, there's not been so much that they have as information about the awards that were given out for probably about 9 or 10 years. Yeah, and we were saying we have capacity to sustain this. We have we are believing that we are going to stay online for a lifetime, and we can have this happening for generations and generations and keep that information archived on our platforms. Just even that, which they don't have up to today. So that's how we think and say, can we get? I mean, we are getting almost the same kind of mindset that we had as a conversation with Diva, saying let's take it to the bigger brand that is even more mainstream, and support them and also benefit and grow the industry at the same time.
And what was with the 2009? That was your first time partnering with Diva Awards and trying to work with other award because you had people awards.
Yes.
So with the PAM Awards, was the approach different? Did you learn some things from the partnership with the Diva Awards that you decided to come in this partnership a little bit differently in terms of approach?
Yeah, well, thank you, Mark. Honestly, like, so much was different. First of all, we had already customized the tools that we needed. I mean, based on the lessons of what we had done for Diva, we had customized voting tools typically for a local award system. We had customized something that could directly integrate data from GSM like SMS. We had customized even the basics like agreements, that this should be the basis of the agreement. This is what we should get from this. This is what we should provide. And what we hadn't customized is, or what we hadn't learned, is the difference in approach for the individuals that run these portfolios.
Yeah,
I mean, you're coming from a point of discussing with Mohammed Chimbugwe, who is an OB, who is a colleague to us here, and then you're going to an Isaac Mlindwa who doesn't know you, who I don't even think he cares about knowing you, and then probably they know HiPipo exists, but it's not their business. They control a radio station or two of them. So they're in charge of already so many things, that they're in control of some big sector of the media. And then they have budgets and they have a network that can pay for adverts across the country. So as you get into a conversation with them, you have to relearn so many things about how to even communicate with them, about how to start having a conversation. But is it even very easy to get one? Yeah,
because you're coming from a perspective of we need to create avenues where people can, because people are voting before with awards, but you are trying to create a simpler solution, which is people. You don't need to make it hard for people to vote. Anyone can vote, whether it's on their computer or anywhere they are.
Yes,
it's where they can vote via SMS. It's easy for us to have all this in one place, and then it simplifies the work rather than the old traditional ways of looking at how many votes someone got in a category.
Yes.
So in terms of the implementation challenges, what were some of those? Because you're introducing something that they haven't used in their system before.
Yeah, well, we are having this conversation with ourselves without involving the second party, and we are testing literally every tool. I mean, about 20 of us have capacity to access computers in a cafe or in Makere. So when we create technology, someone, John Mark, is in Brussels, is able to test. Someone else is in the UK, they're able to test and see how it works. Then we also have our daily charts and polls that we are using to actually create this same traction and this user testing. Now, the thing about the People Awards and the polls is they have two sides of themselves. They have a public poll where as long as you rate something, you see the ratings immediately. So that is a metric that some people who are bitter losers for awards in the previous editions think should be their approach. That, oh, we should be able to see when I vote, I should see the results. But the Grammys, they don't do that. The Brits don't do that. American Music Awards, BET doesn't do that. You get. So we are saying, no, that is one side. It is public polls, and they should be able to reflect that. On this other side, you have created a very, very systematic system and algorithm for managing online voting for music and any other event in the same line, for making sure you create awards that are respected, that are credible, that are authentic in so many ways, and can be tracked down based on the statistics. I think you remember when HiPipo Music Awards started and Bebe Cool was winning a lot. And there was so much truth to the fact that he had a fan base that was online. So they could easily adapt to voting because it was about pointing them to the direction. And like we said, we had started the journey with him years back. And he was believing in the capacity of digitization, and it was helping him create traction, get concerts run successfully, and all that kind of stuff. So, and honestly, if you ask me, where did this conversation ever end? Well, maybe I will first start by telling you, wait a minute. We were having this conversation with ourselves, not with Isaac, not with anyone at PAM. But we were believing that we should be able to have a conversation with these people. I have his number. I keep on calling him one day, every other time. And he didn't answer my calls for a whole year.
While you're with the idea?
Yes, while we have everything ready, while we have a draft of an agreement, I called him. And so when he started picking my calls, we start scheduling. So I called him, Mr. Isaac, I made introductions about 6 times. So after the 6th time, he doesn't want me to introduce myself. And he's like, I know you, but my number is not saved. I'm sure in his phone. I don't even think it is saved today. So I like, hey, I know you, Innocent. Call me next week. And you call him next week on Wednesday when he says Wednesday. You call him that day, like, I'm busy, I'm in a meeting. Call me after 2 weeks. So we drag ourselves around having calls. So we failed to have the partnership. But we had created the entire system. We had tested it, and we had even customized it and named it PAM Awards. I mean, we're saying online voting and saying, if anytime, because in the same spirit where we had People Awards, we had with all due respect, we had all the capacity to say, let's kickstart our own award system. But the mindset is, why should HiPipo be starting an award system in a country where there is one that is working? Diva is specialized for women, so we can keep supporting it. PAM is a general mass award. Can we work with them and help them access the technology they can't afford, so that we can propel our industry together? And that is the thought, precisely.
And you had planned this. You had a lot of time to test it and do all that. Were there any challenges when it came to even implementation of the project? And even when there was a green light that now, we are okay to work together and let's roll this out. What are some of the challenges that you managed to mitigate in between?
Well, most of the challenges were honestly political. We had mastered our art of running technology. I mean, I pride in that as a team, that we are very unbeatable in matters digital innovation and transformation, especially when we have to deal with creating real technology. I mean, we have the best architects, the best engineers, and we will have them for a long time. So we had done everything technology. But it took us probably about 18 months or more, or slightly less maybe, to have a meeting and see what happens when finally, I remember I was in a hospital. I was in Zambia hospital. Our mom had been there for some time. So I kept on believing that now we had gone to 2011, getting to agree and meet with Isaac. So I keep on calling him. We have so much stress on us, but we are still believing on creating these synergies and growing. So one time I called him. I'm going to Makerere to teach. I'm like, hey, are you available now for a meeting, sir? And he's like, Yeah, sure, we can meet. So today he doesn't tell me next week. He tells me we can meet, I think, tomorrow. I think either tomorrow or the same day at 2. Yeah, he told me the same day at 2 p.m. So it was about 10.
Yeah.
I had already worked with the team and we had written an agreement, or what they call an MOU, a year before. And I went to NASA Road, buying the deeds.
Yeah.
I only had money for printing one copy and my transport.
Yes.
So I had to make sure I managed resources very well. Otherwise, I was going to be in trouble going back to Nsambia Hospital. So I moved to Bugolobi, where his offices were. And I remember meeting him and Salim, a gentleman called Salim, who I found to be very intelligent. I have not seen him in a long while, but he was really very intelligent, and he was his right-hand man. So I wait for a few minutes, and Isaac calls him in. And when he calls him in, hey, Salim, come and we have this discussion. Yeah, the discussion is on, and everything feels like we are in sync. They are excited about advancing in technology. Isaac is not really interested in testing the technology because someone has told him they have done it for Diva.
Yeah.
So he knows it is working. He's like, oh, is this the kind of technology they're using for the other people? Yeah. Like, okay, so what else do you need from us? I'm like, we don't need money. We just need to agree. So it's like, yeah, we have agreed now. We have. So it's like, so I'm like, so now I want us to formalize our agreement.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, what are you going to be? We need an MOU. So he tells me, go and work on the MOU. I'm like, sir, I've looked for you for 2 years.
Here is the MOU.
Here is the MOU. Please read it. If it is okay with you, we sign. So in a few minutes, it is read and it is okay for everyone. And I have one copy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you help me print. Either you take this one or the other. I mean, just photocopy. Whichever you want to take. Let us sign and conclude. And that's how, for the first time, we provide a service for a mainstream award anytime for the first time in East Africa. Give them an opportunity to serve their customers and have thousands of people voting online. And the rest is history for that matter.
Yeah, and so since they managed to buy that one, because I know how tough it is whenever you're introducing new technology to people.
Yes.
Because they always tell you, but at this, if the old one is working, why is there a need to change anything?
Yes.
Why don't we keep the other one working?
Yes.
So when in terms of that partnership, you sign your MOU.
Yeah.
What was the long-term vision or goal for this partnership at that point?
Well, the vision was for us, one, to systemize. I mean, we are doing like kind of a transition. We are saying, don't take away your old system. Work with it in comparison with what we have. Then you'll do a comparison and benchmark on the facts we bring. Then use them to determine who the winners, because we have no single right to determine who the winners of the awards are. So that is in agreement. The other is we can eventually make use of this data to actually create revenue modes and solutions for the musicians, basing on how many get voted. I mean, there are many ways of customizing. People can vote and buy merchandise at the same time.
Yes.
People can vote and buy a ticket for that artist in a club, so that as the award portfolio is getting money, even the musician who has their fans buying in bulk also gets a benefit. I mean, we have done it a lot with the HiPipo Music Awards over the years. For musicians that come from a fans club, for fans that come from a fans club of a musician officially, they get discount of more than 50% on every ticket. If a musician says Shiba has Shibaholics and they want to buy 200 tickets,
there's a discount.
There's a 50% discount directly because they're buying them. I mean, so it is up to the musician whether they are collecting 100%. Take the other money, it's not our business. Why? We were thinking that these numbers could inform such decisions eventually. And then they could also help in making sure that we aggregate our music content better going forward.
So in brief, as we get to wrap up the podcast, so at this point, you don't have yet the plans of making the HiPipo Music Awards?
Well, we have People Awards.
Yeah.
And we have a concept of about 3 concepts. The concept is the same. We want to run awards that are digitally driven, but we don't have them named specifically as HiPipo Music Awards. Remember, we have HiPipo Charts.
Yes.
We have People Awards.
People Awards.
And then somehow we are thinking local. and say maybe we'll create Uganda Music Awards. But the only bit that is keeping us held up is saying we shouldn't be recreating work that is available.
We should just work with what is available.
Yeah, if PAM is doing well, let's collaborate with them and grow with them. But we are saying that if there is anyone that is not interested or that is not serving the market, then we should come in. So we are in deliberation of should we have our portfolio. So to the point that we wanted to name HiPipo charts, HiPipo Music Awards charts, something like that. But we're like, oh, let's hold them until sometime when the two awards exited, and then we're like, oh, the time has come for us to come in the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
The HiPipo Chronicles, this is episode 14. And we shall be back next week with another episode. And we are, still documenting the HiPipo journey. So there are some of you that probably interacted with the HiPipo after 2010. But we are still, this is where we are as far as documenting goes. And we shall be, even in later on, we shall be discussing some of the things that probably have become more synonymous with HiPipo. And you, depending on the feedback we get from you and how you got to interact with HiPipo for the first time. Because we know people that got in to interact with HiPipo for during the time when email to SMS was the thing. And those that were in the dating pool.
Yeah, HiPipo love.
Yes, HiPipo love.
Yeah.
And then the ones that were connecting with each other through
The social
network. And then there are those that got to interact through the chats, like the music and the streaming. By the way, as we get out, who was creating the playlist as far as the streaming goes?
I don't know whether I was a DJ, but
exactly.
I was creating them.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed that streaming the music on the website, that man over there was creating the entire playlist of all that. So we shall be back next time. Until then, continue to send more feedback. HiPipo across all social media platforms. That is HiPipo. And then also any podcast app of choice, search for the for HiPipo Chronicles. Just HiPipo Chronicles. This is episode 14. So there's still 13 before that. And we are still going on to the next one.